This is the Spurs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, I guess you could say probably easier nights have been had in the sport, but when you do something that you haven't done as a team collectively in many of years, and only third time ever in franchise history, if you're the Spurs, you'll take it. Welcome into the Spurs Postcast on Locked On Spurs. Of course, as always, thank you for making us your first listen each and every day after every game. Of course, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We care about you. We love the people. You're the reason that this stuff happens and these fun postcasts happens. And ready to have another one tonight because the Spurs victors today over Toronto, 121-103 victory. My name's Casey. Of course, that's Devin Brown. Early bullet points, I guess. What you got for me, my friend? I'd have to imagine it's good, but a lot of things making you hold your breath.
Yeah, Spurs are rolling, and we want to welcome everybody to the show. We got some things to talk about, but 4-0, Coach Mitch is doing a great job with these guys, pushing all the right buttons, and, very exciting basketball that the Spurs are playing right now.
Well, let's get right to it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so tonight played out very similar to what we saw Sunday, in that they go up big on a team that they're more talented than, just like they did the Nets. They go up 20 plus on the other team like they did against the Nets. They opened the game on a 27-10 run, go up by 22 in the first half, put up 41 points in the first quarter. That's the most in a quarter so far in the early season, up by 19 at the break. But another second half that starts off poor. They have 6 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter. That lead cut down to single digits by the time it's the fourth, but thankfully they tidy things up. It was not perfect, but they get the job done when it matters. Vic, 25, 14, and 4 assists, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Vassell, 15. Harper, 11, 6, and 6. Steph Castle, a good night, 22, 5, and 4. Harrison Barnes, more on him in a minute. He goes 6 of 7 from the field, 18 points. Not pretty, but that's the type of thing you take, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the start. Great start. Ball's moving. People are moving. That's one of the sayings that the Spurs have. Let's get, that ball moving, bodies moving, things like that. We'll play out of it, obviously play through Victor, but you have so many guys that are stepping up right now. When it goes bad, you got a few things there that we can dissect, but for the most part, it just becomes not too much hero. I want to say hero ball, but it's not too much right now. But you can see where it's different. When Victor goes to take his normal break, or even if he's in there, there's times where the Spurs get bogged down. But those are all good points for Coach Mitch in film, because you are 4-0, so there's going to be a lot of praise there. Well deserved, but at the same time, there's probably there's a lot of things need to clean up, but Coach Mitch will take care of that.
Now, yes, he will, because there's a lot to converse about. But I think one guy who is responsible, and a guy who's been in similar spots like you just said, is a big reason why we're having the conversation as to why he's the turning point of the action.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So 5 minutes left. Raptors cut the game down to 8 with inside 5 minutes to go. Harrison Barnes, the Spurs respond. They go on an 11-0 spurt to put the game away, essentially. But this was spearheaded by Barnes hitting back-to-back threes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you like out of that is that so far in the early part of the season, Harrison Barnes had a very early part of the season. It's only been 3 games, but he hasn't really found kind of a groove yet. But tonight, only missed 1 shot, 6 of 7 from the field, and it was the last shot he took. And of course, a very encouraging sign when you need that spacing. This team does for sure.
Veteran players, and everybody loves them, especially San Antonio. They have the last 25 years. Harrison Barnes, bring something to your team that you need, that leadership. A lot of the stuff he does, a lot of people don't talk about, keeping that locker room together, things like that. And to see him getting his shooting stroke back tonight was great. I'm not worried about that one miss. That was, kind of a heat check kind of deal. No big deal there. But it's good to see him, because when you think of the 4 position and who the Spurs have on their staff, and Rashard Lewis, shout out to him, his first year with San Antonio being on the team. That was your idea 4-man, back in the day. So Harrison Barnes is picking up tips from him. I'm sure they're out there shooting together after practice, before practice, things like that. So Harrison Barnes had it going tonight, and he is the ideal person to have, beside Wemby, at times, because he can space the floor for the big fellas. So great shooting night by him.
I think this year is the first time I've really kind of felt, I don't consider myself particularly old, but seeing Rashard Lewis on the sidelines now coaching the team. Guys that you watch as a kid, and now he's playing a vital role on the coaching staff. I think this year is, for the first time, one of those moments like, all right, I've been around the game for a little while, but
and we get some of our old school Spurs fans. It's good to see him behind the bench instead of with the Supersonics knocking all those threes down with Ray Allen. He's good where he is now behind that bench. He's doing a great job.
He's one of those guys, Rashard Lewis, that you wonder. He was kind of ahead of his time. I mean, 6'10", doing that in the mid 2000s, what he would look like, that skill set now, because we know how valid that is in the year 2025, man.
Casey, how about this? He was one of the players back in the day, one of the first players to be over $100 million as far as a contract. That was unheard of.
It's another generational thing.
Yeah.
Rashard Lewis, doing good things now for the Spurs. You'll like it. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, we're actually going to talk about some of the bad things for tonight, because, again, it was a lot of holding your breath, a lot of head scratching, and a lot of let's just survive and advance here. Let's just get to the end. I know Devin's got some stance on some sloppiness that this team had. That's coming up in just a minute here on the Spurs Postcast on Locked on Spurs. But before we get there, I want to talk to you about a few of our friends. All right. First thing we're going to talk to you about tonight, of course, is Monarch. Always, I found we've been doing the show not tremendously long, but I've been involved and I've been turned on to Monarch. And the reason why is that, my money, I'm guilty to admit, it's a little all over the place in terms of figuring out my 401k, savings, investments. It's easy to lose track of that stuff. And you want to know what your accounts are. Well, that's, again, why I started using it, because it's simple and easy tool to keep all that stuff together. Great little interface on the laptop, on the phone. I highly recommend it, as do we here at the Locked On podcast team. So don't let a financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarch.com. Going to get 50% off your first year, monarch.com. The code is Locked On NBA for half off of your first season. Gametime, also been kind of a mainstay of the NBA over the past few years. Nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. Well, let's be real. It can be a headache sometimes getting tickets, right? The queues, the fees, the surprise fees, and the checkout, it's frustrating. But that's where the Gametime app comes in, because it gives fans the advantage. It's the ultimate life hack to get tickets quick and easy. And I've used it a few times now. And the big thing for me, it's simple. Transparency. That's like all I want. I want to know what I'm paying up front. And they do that on the app. They let you know where you're sitting to give you a good visual. They do that too. So take all that guesswork stuff out, get out of it, get rid of it. Go to Gametime. They'll take care of you there. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA, $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off the first round you got. And finally, FanDuel. I know that we know that the NBA is back. There's no better place to catch the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to kind of ride a hot hand a little bit, FanDuel's got live bets on everything. That always makes the experience a little bit more fun. Keep an eye on the fourth quarter, even though they haven't been particularly fun for Spurs fans. if you have a little something vested on it, you might have ease the pain a little bit. But right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. So go on over FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, of course, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's keep the action going and talk about what the Spurs, I guess, didn't do right tonight. All right. There was a lot of good.
Yep.
A lot of bad.
Right.
There was a lot of bad. And you take a exhale a little bit and you look to where they could tidy things up. They were rough maintaining the basketball today. 20 turnovers, 6 of them in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, which helped the Raptors get back into the game. This is the second consecutive game that yesterday was not as sloppy, but very, I guess, for lack of a better term, things that are preventable, so to speak, a lot of self-inflicted errors, which a lot of them felt like they were, got the opposition back in. So in your mind, when you look at this team and kind of the circumstances of what it was a back-to-back, obviously young team, we attribute that to a hard-fought game yesterday, so you're running on tired legs, but then again, Toronto is. How much of that is just the youthful thing, fatigue? Where's kind of like the balance in your mind to end up with the concern that the Spurs are not concerned. Well, maybe concerned. Conversations they're having.
Well, concerned are, that's what we do on our show. We're going to take the good with the bad, and obviously, them getting out to a great start, being 4-0 is good. But from a coach's standpoint, what you have to do is you got to go in there and you got to see what's going on here. Second night, teams are going on these big runs, and the 20 turnovers is concerning, and how are they turning the ball over, trying to do a little too much, not making the easy play, the basketball play, trying to make a difficult play. I know, one of the golden rules in any league that you play in, you don't want to leave your feet and try and pass the basketball. That's starting to happen a little too much, but I'll tell you what, when Toronto went on that run, and I always look at Coach Mitch and the buttons that he's been pushing early on in the season. He made one substitution, gets another ball handler in there, and they're able to right the ship and, keep things going in the right direction. So there's going to be nights like that. We're going to get on this show and talk about the Spurs, getting beat by 20 maybe or whatever. But, you just take it. It's a back-to-back.
Right.
And I like what you're saying about tired legs. Casey, these guys are 21, 22. They're fine. They just need to make better decisions and not lead to these runs. And that's all they need to do.
Hey, you said before we started, you were like, for a little bit, it looked kind of like a culture shock to Dylan Harper because this is the first one that he's played in his career. So I mean, maybe not tired, but
well, You had to say yes. I saw Dylan Harper walking down the court, and I'm like, young fella, whoa. Like, that might not even come from Coach Mitch. When he gets to the practice facility, Pop might get after him for that. So, but yeah, no, it's his first back-to-back, like you're saying.
Right.
And they'll talk to him about that. They got a great coaching staff. They'll talk to him about that. But yeah, no walking on the court. Definitely not.
I was going to say, you're worried about Mitch, you're worried about Pop. How about Dad picking up the phone?
Oh man, that's a three-headed monster, Casey. That's tough. Oh, Ron.
Right. That 26.
And Ron, Casey, Ron was a bruiser.
Yeah.
He had those he had the big thick hands. They slap you across and, you think you lose your knuckles. They hit you so hard. So, yeah, that's a phone call that he doesn't want either.
I was going to say, you probably crossed paths a little bit on the back end of his run, right?
No, that was, oh my goodness. He retired in what, 90, I want to say 96 or 95.
Did he go out with the rest of that Bulls squad?
Well, yeah, they won 6 of them.
Well, no, I meant when I'm trying to think, did he, after they broke it up,
right,
in 98, did he retire after that too?
I would think so. I don't know. we have to check that because
we have to double check.
Yeah,
because I'm just guilty. I'm just associating with the early 2000s of your start of your career with the back end of his. So that's why.
Okay, so even if he did stay in 99,
yeah,
all right. I was a young man at UTSA at that time.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. So
all right, you got me on that one. you got me on that one. You got me on that one. But yeah, something that Dylan, younger Harper, will have to figure out, you know, getting that from through three voices along the way, and very quickly that 20-point performance, a thing of the past when you got those guys on.
Right.
But collectively, the end of the day, we talk about the good, talk about the bad. Nights like tonight are going to happen for better or worse on the back-to-back. But at the end of the day, the nights like this, when they happen, they feel a heck of a lot better when it means you're 4-0. And I one time, and I wanted to pick your brain of this as a vet, because one time I was having obviously a different sport. I was having a conversation with a former major league scout. He was, his specialty was starting pitching. And so we were talking about aces and just, you know, the difference of being an ace and just being a regular guy. And he said, you start like 30-ish outings a year. A quarter of them, you got like your top-notch stuff, your Cy Young stuff. A quarter of them, you're awful. The rest of the 50%, you're somewhere in the middle. And I felt like that kind of applies for a lot. Is that kind of something that you discovered too? That you have your nights where a quarter of the season, you're on it. Quarter of the season, otherwise, you are terrible. But every night in the middle, the other 50, it's just a chess game and, you know, trying to pull that upper hand out. Do you think that's something that you kind of came across a lot?
Right. So, you know, I'm going to look at it as a team aspect.
Yeah.
As opposed to the individual aspect, because here's the thing. So most of these teams have 12 guys on their team, right? So,
well, that's what I was going for, more the team side.
Yeah, more the team aspect, exactly. So, you know, let's say you are a starter. I've been both starter, coming off the bench, things like that. If you feel like your starters, and just a couple of them don't have it, all right, and that's what makes your superstars. Your superstars, you don't have time to play around with them about finding it, not finding it, things like that. You're going to give them every opportunity in the world to figure it out for that game. I'm talking about your role players.
Right.
Okay? Your role players, that's why you have the other guys on the team. All right. And I'm going to throw some Spurs legends at you. I'm talking Brent Barry, Steve Smith, Steven Jack, you know, Devin Brown. See, Casey, I have to mention your name every time. Every show, I'm talking about Devin. But anyway, so you have these other guys. So if one of them can't figure it out, we have another one that we can figure it out, right? But your Tonys, your Manus, Tims, well, they get paid that kind of money. You can figure it out on the court.
Right.
All right. If you go from there, and like with these guys, you know, today, Wemby, what is Wemby not having it? You know, I'm seeing these things where people say, well, he only had 22 tonight.
Only.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, to go along with the 14 rebounds that he had. So to answer your question, when it comes to things like that, and that's what Coach Mitch is doing a great job of right now, you have to figure out that lineup. Hey, it might not be your conventional lineup. We talked about this, Casey, with Castle and Harper playing together. Look at the average of their three-point shooting. It's about under 30%, to be fair.
I don't have it in front of me, but probably.
Right. If we look at it, and so as a team, you go, well, we're going to lay off those guys. Well, they still have to deal with the big fella inside. And then you get Harrison Barnes going, you get Devin Vassell going. That's just the way it goes. And that's what I'm saying. That's why Coach Mitch is pushing the right buttons right now.
All right, some final housekeeping numbers before we put a bow on things to recap. You Spurs with a 121-103. Let's try this again. A 121-103 win tonight over Toronto. Victor, 24-15, 4 assists. Actually did not record a block until the 4 minutes left in the fourth, believe it or not. Vassell, 15. Castle, 22, 5 and 4. Harper, 11, 6 and 6. The team collectively 58% from the field, 13 of 27 from deep. Harrison Barnes with 18 as well. We didn't hit on it before the show a whole lot as we wrap things up, but as you know, so I'm gonna kind of hit you with it on the fly here. I will give you 5 seconds to think about who you want as our player of the game when I push this button here.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
How about it? What you got?
Harrison Barnes. Old Man River. All day.
18 points. It was the turning point of the night. 2 big threes that turned it from a double-digit, from an 8-point lead to a double-digit lead, and put the game away. All right, that's going to put us away for the night. We will be back. Actually, we're going to be back tomorrow. I would be remiss not to mention that we have our first Spurs squad show. What it is 1 hour. That's right, 1 hour of myself, Devin, and of course, Jeff Garcia, who's got you covered as always on the day-to-day Locked On Spurs podcast. It's basically, think, an open roundtable to talk everything Spurs of the week, all the fun that we've been having, the good, the bad, some hot topics of conversation. We'll have fun along the way. That is going to be, of course, on the Locked On Spurs channel, the stream, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to be doing that Tuesdays, and we're going to be doing that Thursdays. So not anything you're going to want to miss there. Next game, of course, that's Thursday. You're going to get lucky because we're working late that night. We're going to have the squad show, and then we'll have a breakdown of the game. So if you want more of us, Thursday is the day to hang out. But I think that's a good place to leave it tonight. As always, thank you for checking in with us each and every day, making the Locked On team your first listen, whether it's us or anywhere else, your first lesson each and every day. You're the ones that drive all of this, and we appreciate the love that you've been giving all of us on all of the Locked On platforms. So with that said, for Mr. UTSA Hall of Famer and NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Spurs winners tonight at home, back against Miami on Thursday. We'll talk to you then. 4-0 for the first time since 17-18.